Hey guys, Boris here, bringing you another VOD review. As of last night, the new set is live on PB, and I hope that all of you who had the chance to already try it out have had their fun trying to figure out all the interactions and the content that is available for us. Today, we're going to be jumping in game with Dishsoap, who used his time the first day to test out all the various kind of reroll comps he could cook up and try to seek the potential niche lines that could be played for secure placements once the set goes live. Obviously, a lot of these things are still subject to change. However, given that the lobby strength in PvE is a little bit lower, it's not particularly interesting to be constantly looking out for the fast 9 lines. It's much more interesting trying to come up with new boards that some people might have not thought of yet. And I will also use this opportunity to say that I will myself starting to stream. I will put up the stream schedule somewhere up here now, and we can all try to learn the game the best we can together there, or just chill and hang out. Now we can see that Dishsoap here now at the moment, just quickly evaluating the spot. We have a Teemo pair. We've managed to pick up already 3 Space Groove as well. Completely fine to be playing around 2 if we do not see fit. We could just pair the Nasus with something else, as the benefit is still decent. And for our item, we have a Rage Blade, and Teemo is an attack scaling champion that generally wants to get to 5 attacks on a single target as fast as possible. Quite good in the early game for us because of that, and that's going to pair with our Rage Blade quite well. So coming up on our augment selection here, if we are leaning into reroll, something like early learnings has been known to be quite good for that, and this would be a prime spot for him to try out the Teemo Nasus reroll. Otherwise, Seraphim Staff is a generally decent AP option. Now, Nami, which is the Space Grooves max cap, would prefer to be running something like JG Nashers, but if we are playing around Teemo, this would also be a decent extra item to be tossed on, and Mace as well if we had already some form of a JG to be tossed on. Now, for our gods, we have the Yasuo and the Soraka. Soraka could help us stall to potentially scale into the late game, while Yasuo can further empower our reroll champions, and generally regarded as one of the strongest gods available for you. Now we can check that he's already testing out the emblems. There's so much new info to be absorbing at these points. Doesn't seem the value in it. Pandora's bench is something that can be considered for a reroll. However, whenever it's been moved to the gold augment, I have not found particularly much liking to the augment, and generally going to nuke our recon quite a bit. So we're going to go with early learnings, and it seems like we're going to be locking in this reroll comp right here already. And we can see the Teemo unit with the Rage Blade can definitely do some nasty things, and he has opted to play 3 Space Groove, evaluating that to be this potentially stronger with the board. Now, what he's slotting in here is the Arbiter, which this cause and effect is going to change throughout the game, so you have to think, and there are some ones that are good for rerolls, scaling of the star level, scaling of the... also, I believe that you can get some rerolls. Now, he just selects to gain something more defensive, I believe, but not going to be exactly playing. What he has done now is slot in Timebreaker to farm some little bit of an extra econ, especially if we're going to be losing. This is going to provide us a rerolls. This is the throwback way of kind of like a Bard transformed into a trait, essentially. Going to be making our econ threshold here. Seems to be stacking up the rerolls, and then probably going to be sending it. Generally good for any kind of reroll comps, and particularly with the 1-cost reroll, we're looking to spike on that stage 3 if we can, therefore we want to be hitting our strong board for that time. Into a birthday reunion player, as we know, the fast 9 comps are generally what people are looking out for, trying to test all the 5 costs. However, at the moment it seems to be more of a 5-cost soup that is again prominent. We'll have to see, as some of these Aura 5 costs that are offered are very, very strong at the moment, and is generally the way you're going to be still capping all your extra boards. Now, coming on our god selection, replacing the carousel, essentially what we're looking at is, I treated this as a extra silver augments in a sense, right? Every time you're going to be evaluating for the extra silver augments, and given Yasuo is quite strong, now Soraka we could take care of. That belt is going to help us in complete another item. However, if we're playing a reroll, Cosmic Hex here would just allow us to immediately start stacking up our Nasus with an extra health, and could make this guy incredible. And he has max HP scaling as well, while when he's in the groove he's also regenerating health. Therefore this seems to be a great choice for him, and for our unit we can just pick up the Gwen that we sold earlier right away. to have potential to be transitioning into the board once we decide to drop this time breaker here. Now we would want to be slamming the cause the hex already now to be in order to stack, but seems that Dishsoap is busy planning out his board, trying to see what potential he can. As we're always looking for other units that we can be rerolling alongside, and it's going to take some time until we familiarize fully ourselves with the potential trait web, as well as we want to be seeing how we can potentially fully later on transition some of these weaker units into stronger copies, as 3-star 1 costs would be about on par in power with 2-star 4 costs. Given the accessibility of 2-star 4 costs, they are generally regarded to be a little bit stronger than them. But since we have the early learnings, it's going to be quite strong. Now he slams the hex. Otherwise, for Teemo, we are probably looking for some kind of magic resist shredding item. And any form of attack speed this guy will love. Or something that's simply going to empower his AP, any kind of AP item. But something like a Giant Slayer can also be quite decent, providing him some damage amp. Do not seem to be exactly in quite a few copies, and we won that round, so that stopped our streak. And if you win the timebreaker, you're getting XP instead of units that you can sell at any point you want. He's opting to not to do so at the moment, as we will probably wanting to stay on these level 4 odds for a little bit of a while. It's going to be aggressively also selling at the moment just to make the econ threshold. Are we going to use our free rerolls on level 4? I would assume that we're going to do. We might even dig a little bit deeper, just simply because the odds are quite valuable. Going to slam the Void Staff. Now we can look to try to complete some of our frontline items. Since we're going fully with this Nasus, Stoneplate is going to be quite good, and we're not going to be running that many units at a time. Stoneplate loses its value in later games, since your tanks can get bursted and you have extra units that you want to be fielding and not positioning awkwardly. But if you're sitting on the level, then the Stoneplate has quite a bit of value for a longer period of time, and it's a complete fine slam. For our next augment, now we could be considering some kind of econ augment. Heroic Grab Bag seems quite appealing here. Crimea River, generally the combat pacing seems to be quite high early on, and we do not have any other form to immediately transition the steer into anything. Plus, getting to the commander region is not exactly. Teemo is more of a attack speed champion than a caster, therefore Heroic Grab Bag is a more appealing option. Now, Golden Dragon here is also a thing that we could consider. We have a board that we can essentially play right now. We could just simply slot in 3 Space Groove and a Vanguard for this Nasus if we opted to drop the Timebreaker, and we have a big board to be playing here on level 5 until we hit our units. And it's going to provide us with an item. Again, with the reroll comes, if we are especially both reroll and multiple units, we want them to be fully itemized once we're able to hit them, right? Therefore, Golden Dragon here can help us exactly that. And the durability is going to scale quite well with Vanguard Shields. Same with max health, and he seems to agree. This augment saw more light towards the end of set 16, but I think now everyone has pretty much caught up on how strong it is. Now here you see a player with a booster pack. I believe that the Prismatic Orb is a... Oh, they got one of the caches that can give you a 3-star 1 cost. That's actually going to be, in some form, good for us. Now, I'm not sure if he had the plan of trying to reroll Leona alongside this Nasus, but at least there are some 1 costs being pulled out of the pool for us, going to help our odds just that little bit. Now, we are not exactly in the richest of the spots because this is the Golden Dragons have a little bit of a delayed value. Now we 2-star the Leona, and I believe that generally if we wanted to go, we'd probably be rerolling her alongside this Nasus, but obviously with the 3-star Jailer taken out, it's not quite unlikely going to be hitting her. Still opting to play this Timebreaker, which is an interesting point. He's going to value this econ quite so much, and we believe that our board is decently strong in this form without the synergizing trait for our other units. And now the XP that we have managed to accumulate was going to help us later on to transition into the higher levels. Though this is the one thing that sometimes these reroll comps struggle, is that you simply have to invest. You have a lot of gold, so still afterwards, after hitting, to invest to reach these higher caps, and Timebreaker could help us do that. And now 30% attack speed seems quite good for Teemo here. Loves attack speed, provides us with another bow that we can transition into another item. Would be the great choice. Giants builds here, if we had hit by now, could be quite good if to just simply complete our 3-item Nasus. But Yasuo's Hex here is going to be, in my opinion, the better of the options. So he's also going to go with that. We can take the Nami here already, so prime that for ourselves. That is quite neat for that we have sorted out. He hasn't planned to play around the Nami yet, but potentially we might end up there. We do not know exactly what units we're going to be hitting, and since we're rolling so much, we just have to, if the first things we hit, we have to be picking them up. Also allows us to drop this Gwen, which not going to be doing too much at the moment. Going to be rolling a little bit, still only on 6 copies of each, which is not the most prime spot. Also, he seems to be holding on to these multiple Vanguard units, potentially trying to transition later on into some form of a Vanguard frontline. I would be always looking out for, on the lookout here, if we can slot in some of the Dark Stars, another Dark Star once we get there. Getting that 10% execute on extra team seems to seem to be very strong. Now, we are behind on pace. Generally, with the 1-cost reroll, you want to be hitting that on about 3-5, as that's what it's called, to be on the tempo. But we are still a little bit off. And are we going to be investing into this Mordekaiser as well? So now, our next spike that we would want to be hitting is on the 4-1 at the latest. Otherwise, we are just going to be completely outscaled. As obviously the 1-cost already are starting to struggle at this point, and especially a unit like a Teemo, who by design is a single target unit who needs time to ramp on a single target. Once the combat pacing goes up, as their armor units, he's going to start to lose some of his value. But we can see that he's still putting in quite a lot of work getting through these boards, and further hexes empowering him. Yeah, we are picking up the Lissandra for a replicator, as that synergizes with the Teemo there, and then we could put in together with the Darkstar there, but for now, while evaluating his 3 space group, it's a little bit more valuable. Do get a Warmogs drop here, so hindsight by the goat himself that we would be getting Warmogs anyhow. Now we're going to most likely be sending it. Find a Teemo. Are we going to be holding the trigger here on for the Nasus? Going to complete a red buff here. That's going to be quite nice as well. Now able to get in the Lissandra, and I would assume we would be wanting to slot in the Mordekaiser over this Ilaoi, but Ilaoi is just going to be a little bit tankier on herself. So that's going to be fine there. Warmog's also nicely synergizing with all the Vanguards, so neat itemization by Dishsoap here at the moment. For our last augment, at this point we will be looking for something that could further provide us ourselves with the extra combat power. We have our carries sorted with items at the moment. We have also the form of an econ augment through the Golden Dragon, and we have that scaling, so something that could help us now completely spike on these 3 stars and get there on the later part would be what I would be on the lookout for. Something like a Commerce Core here, there we can see would probably not do that. We would be already have hit and we are not on the lookout there. Band of Thieves is a potential interesting option. Invested, we're not sacking here, we do not read the gold. Tiny or Deadly. We have a lot of attack speed already, and this is generally would be, if we wanted to multiple units to benefit, we only really care about this Teemo at the moment. So Call to Chaos actually seems quite appealing at this kind of a spot. We do get blessed by a double Nasus shop, and we get the golden egg cash out. So now we definitely have to be on the lookout to spike. Able to find a JG that's going to be obviously stronger on this Teemo here than the red buff, can just transition down to the Nami. And now we want to be trying to spike as hard as we can. We would, but unfortunately we're unable to make it to level level 8 at the moment just yet. We would have to be for go for 5, for 6 that is, and also still evaluating that 3 space group to be that much stronger than the 4 Vanguard here. Interesting thing to note. Otherwise, we would simply have to hope that the rest of the lobby hasn't had that much of a gold econ influx to haven't had too much resources to be able to fully spike their boards at the moment, and we are able to pick up free wins just as we did the last round. That's going to allow us to get to this cash out, and then we are in a mediocre HP spot. So yeah, these 2 wins here are absolutely massive. Now we should be in a spot that where we could potentially able to cash out our reg. Now Managen here, if you wanted to greed for an army here, would also be decent, but if we want to secure our cash out for the golden egg, the The Soraka's Blessing here seems to be quite appealing for ourselves, going to provide us with another extra life. And we just simply have an easier way to transition the belt into something more useful. We have our Nasus already sorted out with the tank item, so the chain is not really appealing at the moment. We're not looking to fully itemize another set of tank. We would want to itemize our carry. And we are able to just simply pick up an Alawi as we have that to form a unit, but I don't think it matters that much at the moment. All the other options provide the same amount of gold cost. So going to pick up our HP here, and potentially that will allow us to greed our gold a little bit. We cannot really level just yet. And he's going to go for a Striker's Flash, so going to transition, going to full damage, obviously. Good read here. Transition the utility items to the other unit, as Nami is able to apply it decently well. She has that wave there that is able to apply it on the same side as we have our Teemo. And we have managed this. We can see this Nasus is extremely strong. It's like simply, this is not even solo plate, right? This is just the stone plate in itself. And now we only are getting the 4 vanguards in, getting that Nunu for the CC. Hopefully the Nunu one is still able to cast and provide a value. We have 2 tanky there jacks. That could be a quite potential threat. And we're still greeting this solo positioning here, just showcasing how strong this Nasus is, and he's continuously scaling each round with the extra health gain there. And the Teemo is still putting in a lot of work here at the 3-star. Now we would probably disarm re-evaluating, looking just for another item for our Nami most likely. In a deal case, obviously would be looking for an even amount of components, which would be 2 here, and with a little bit of an extra gold. But we can get some more items from our golden egg cash out, and most likely, and do not want to be spending our gold too much on other units, on these rerolls that is. Now we are evaluating this decloak for quite a while. Now that's a red buff. Are we going to be taking a red buff? He does not want to see. Oh, we could just reforge one of the bows. We have 4 reforgers, right? This set seems to be dropping us a ton of reforgers. So if you're ever in a spot where you need some reforge, you can just go for that. Well noted by Dishsoap here, and we are just going to form a Giant Slayer. Complete our items, and now we are able to definitely just relax until the 5-6, and then we are able to. We should be quite close to be able to push to level 9 and try to fully cap our board, as they're going to also cash out our golden egg, and we are at 80 HP here. Managed to continue our streak into neutral, so accumulate a lot of gold, and we're not taking that bad of a loss, as we can see here. Some form of a level 9 meeple board, and this 2-star Nunu is quite valuable for ourselves. Now we're going to give up on the positioning for our solo frontline, and Nasus at this point the boards have so much power in them that they're generally able to burst through this Nasus. So just going to keep him on one side of the open, still getting this a little bit value of the stone plate, and we're not going to be in such a hurry to try to stack up our Mogul's Mail either, in order to farm the extra little bit of gold. We are able to almost take out this Jax player. This Jax popped off with a Kindred towards the end. This is the part where the Teemo is obviously starting to fall off. Simply too many units for him to burst through, but still a very close fight, only on the Nami 1 secondary carry right there. And now we are in a mech player here, playing around that Aurelion Soul bursting, but they have not opted to transition into the transform these units into the mechs, trying to play for more of a flex board. There is a mech board that where you transition them all to the 6 mechs, they can definitely be quite strong, but still the 1-star here with the Yi duo carry is definitely quite strong, and seems to be fishing for some form of 3-star forecast. Now we cash out, we do make another red buff. Thankfully we have these reforgers, going to be transitioning, it seems, to a stronger sort of a tank items with the Spirit Visage there. Yeah, now we can use these reforgers, transition, get rid of our utility, as we had the Radiant Red Buff and Radiant Spark. Able to find almost immediately a decent set of secondary carry items for the Nami, and we have now items for our 3rd carry as well. We still have that single reforge if we wanted to flip one of them more. And we have opted to still take it quite slow. We have that HP lead, so again, thing to note, going to level 9 and being there at like 20-30 gold is generally not going to be enough to fully cap our board. And I would assume here he's trying to look for a way to cap around 2-star 5 costs, as that's going to be the way that we're going to be able to actually deal with the other high cap boards that are going to be inbound imminently at this point. You can see there's already a Bard 2-star there. So we want to have our 2-star 5 costs rather than just a single-star copies of them. Pre-leveling here just to save the AP, and we could just fully level, yeah, still put 50. Utilize the time a little bit to just dig here, sacrificing 2 gold just for a few more seconds on the next round, because coming out of PvE the timer is a little bit lower is worthwhile. Finding the Shen that just has been just already a shining star of the ways how people cap their boards. Finding a Blitz 2 already, that's going to be obviously slot in. And we can see he's valued into keeping that Dark Star in there still for that execute. And we picked up a Bard 2 as well, so we're able to transition his items to him. The Nami items to him, that is. And the Vex here just going to get some attack speed. She's just going to get generally the base stats from other, stealing them from the other units. So something like an attack speed is quite good for her. Vex 2, as we can see, he had this planned out. He knew that the way we're going to win this game is by getting theirs for these 2-star 5 costs. We hit them early, of course, but we did it because we waited until when we noted that the other players are not exactly pulling out these units. We can see this prominent chase of Jhin, Sona being there. Obviously, Shen is being pulled out, but Bard. But we have the Sona of our own, but our carries here are the Vex, and we have the Bard as well. We could be at this point evaluating if it's worth transitioning the items of the Teemo onto this Bard here, as Bard is not exactly that tied to the Meeple, and we have to remember to put our Sona mode as well. Now we had planned out the Jhin as well, but it does not seem that we're going to be opting to go into that. And we should be able to pick up this board. This board hasn't been exactly improved that much since, and we're able to fully clear the Ghost. Going to see how we fare against the real, but this Jhin player is here, is what is the more scary part for us. Now another item, this is another taste. If you get some form of item augments, if you're able to make it to the later stages of game, you're obviously going to be flowing in quite a bit of items, and since we had a cash out as well, we're able to get 1 extra carry more than usual online. And this Blitz unit here is also an absolute menace. Once he revives, he does insane amounts of damage, therefore he is valued obviously to have him as his main secondary carry. But we can see this Nasus here is just simply not caring. He has stacked so high that he is absolutely a beast, and they cannot seem to be able to take him down, getting that extra shield and attack speed from the Shen. So we're going to level now, get the Dark Star in with the Jhin, the classic here with the Sona, Jhin, Graves is another and Shen. Those are the 3 5 costs that are generally being able to be slotted on pretty much any board due to their buffs that they provide. As long as you have some matching traits that you can toss onto them, they're going to be immense value. Again, getting lucky here, getting a ghost fight. And here we should have one of the players falling out. It seems to be that the Jax player was able to take out the 5 cost board. Also interesting thing to note, as looking forwards to testing out that Jax hero augment there. Should make note, it seemed to be a attack speed build there, yeah, with a Rage Blade on it. Still trying to figure out all the itemizations of the unit. This is one of the more fun parts of the sets, trying to interpret the abilities and how they're going to fare. We can see here the Bard stealing the Elder Dragon for us. Are we going to be slot-adding in over the Jhin? Seems so. Getting the 2-star Jhin, so I would assume the 2-star Jhin is going to be strong. Instead going to drop the Sonas. Looks like we did not like the mod there. And the Rage Blade is going to be good for Jhin, and we get the Sunder. And yeah, seems to be Titan's Rage Blade. Brilliant BT build there, but this Nasus is just going to be absolutely holding the fort for ourselves. Does not even drop to the half health, and is just such a beast scaled up. But very masterfully executed game by Dishsoap, recognizing how to accumulate resources, when to spike, and just showcasing how strong the Teemo is able to get you to the later games, even though he was not maybe the absolute shining star into the very last moments of the game. I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something new. And I wish to see you in the next one, and come hang out in the times indicated in the stream if you wish to learn together with me. Have a good one.